This is your creator's guide to endorsements and sponsorships. Ever wondered if that sponsorship deal you're about to sign could land you in some kind of hot water, or how to protect yourself when endorsing a product? Well, today we're diving into the legal side of endorsements and sponsorships, so stay tuned because knowing these rules will save you from a lot of headaches and maybe even a lawsuit. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Legit Podcast Pro. I'm Gordon Firemark, the podcast lawyer, and this is the show where we tackle the legal and business side of podcasting so you can focus on creating amazing content. This week, we're breaking down the legal nuts and bolts of endorsements and sponsorships. Whether you're already cashing checks from brands or just dreaming of that first big deal, understanding the rules really is crucial. So let's jump right into it. First off, what are endorsements and sponsorships? Well, let's clarify that a little bit. Endorsements are when you're promoting a product or service, sharing your personal experience or opinion. For example, if I were to say, this microphone is my favorite for podcasting. A sponsorship, on the other hand, is a more formal kind of a partnership where the brand pays you to feature their name, product, or message. And both are valuable ways to monetize your show, but they come with legal responsibilities. So, the legal framework for endorsements, let's start there. The Federal Trade Commission here in the United States, the FTC, has clear guidelines dealing with endorsements, and ignoring them can be costly both for the creator and for the brand in question. So, here's what you need to know. First, you have to disclose things clearly and conspicuously. If you are being paid or receiving free products, or you have any kind of material connection, financial or something else even, to that brand, you have to disclose it to your audience. Say something like, this episode is sponsored by XYZ brand, or I received this product for free to review. They were kind enough to send it to for me to look at, those kinds of things. This disclosure has to be in plain language, easy to spot, and it needs to appear as closely adjacent to where the endorsement appears as possible. Whether that's in your podcast or on social media or show notes, this kind of honesty is non-negotiable. You can't make false claims about a product. For example, if you say, this supplement cured my migraines, but you've never actually used it, that is a big violation of the truth in advertising laws. You have to follow these same rules across all the various media, whether you're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, or just in your podcast. These rules don't change. Disclose, disclose, disclose. Now, that's the main thing when it comes to endorsements. Anytime you have that material relationship, you have to make a clear and conspicuous disclosure of the nature of that relationship. And that's true also if you are a pay-to-play podcaster. That is, you have guests paying you for the opportunity to be interviewed on your show, because when you do that, you are fundamentally endorsing them and you're receiving compensation for it. So, not necessary to do it when you have guests that aren't paying you, but if you're being paid, you need to say so. So and so is the, CEO of XYZ Corporation, and they are our sponsor for this episode. Thank you so much for being here, so and so. It's that simple. All right, sponsorship is a little bit different. Now, this usually involves a more formal contract kind of relationship, and that's great because it lays out the expectations for both sides. So here are some key points that a sponsorship agreement really should include. First off, what exactly is the scope of work? What's the sponsor paying you to do? Be specific. Are they expecting a shout out, a segment, a series of episodes, banner ads, all those kinds of things? It's important to be very clear about your deliverables. Next up, the payment terms, of course. How much are you going to be paid and when? What are the milestones, or is there a lump sum payment? And what are the usage rights? Is the sponsor allowed to use your podcast content in their marketing separate from your show? And if so, for how long? And what happens if they want to continue using it? It's sometimes possible to negotiate a reuse payment or something like that if they love the kind of message that you're sharing and they think it's worthwhile. Exclusivity is another provision. Are you restricted from working with competing brands while that sponsorship or campaign is running? If so, how long does that last? And you want to have a termination clause. What happens if one party wants to end the agreement early? A well-drafted sponsorship agreement really protects both sides and ensures that everybody's eyes are open and they know exactly what to expect. Now, even when you have a great agreement, it's important that you have other protections in place for your business. First off, I'm a staunch advocate of setting up a company, either a corporation or an LLC, to separate your personal assets from the podcast business stuff. This is a smart move in case there's ever a dispute, in case there's ever a problem with liability or something like that. It shields your personal assets from exposure, or it can shield them if you do things right. Getting everything in writing is also really important. It's tempting to just operate on a handshake basis, being very friendly and just operating on oral agreements, but they are really hard to enforce when things go south. So understand the risks. If a sponsor's product causes harm, well, you endorsing it could put you in the legal crosshairs. So you always want to verify and vet the brands that you work with. Check them out carefully. Try the product. Do some research and due diligence, and use professional legal tools when you're doing this kind of stuff. You don't have to go it alone. Come on over to podcastlawforms.com for all the legal templates that you could need, and get what you need. Now, there you have it. That's the legal lowdown on endorsements and sponsorships. Whether you're just starting out or already partnering with big brands, following these tips will help you stay compliant and will protect your business. And if you found this helpful, don't forget, podcastlawforms.com is where you can grab all the lawyer-generated forms and templates your podcast might need. So thanks for tuning in to this episode of Legit Podcast Pro, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with your fellow creators. And until next time, I'm Gordon Firemark, the podcast lawyer, asking you to keep it legal and keep on creating.